I don't talk to them. I don't talk to them boys that sat on the bench before. I was in the game on 4 inches. Coach put me in the game on 4 inches. Put me in the game on 4 inches. Coach put me in the game on 4 inches. And I'ma lead them boys.
Hi, sports friends. I'm William Carwell, and this is Nick Carwell. We're back on the 4th and Inches Sports Broadcast Show. We're going to discuss Week 4 scores from college football, and then we're going to look into the Week 5 matchups, some of the classics that should be of interest to everyone in the country, some of the big-time matchups. Looking at last week's scores, the biggest upset on the day was Old Dominion over Virginia Tech, 49-35.
You should never go to a smaller school like Old Dominion and lose. If I'm not mistaken, the bigger schools still have to pay to play those type schools. Come on, you can't go down there and lose, man.
Definitely had to pay them and paid more ways than one. They got more than they bargained for out of that deal.
Congratulations, Old Dominion, great win.
Army almost pulled off the upset. Had the nations, everyone was looking at this one. Overtime against Oklahoma.
Army controlled the ball the entire game. They end up with a total possession of almost 45 minutes, which is 3 out of the 4 quarters of the game. If you want to beat Oklahoma, keep the offense on the sideline.
That's the key to a lot of matchups. But if you're not able to sustain that run game like Army is with that option, then you can't do it. But that cut blocking is something you don't see every day, and they ran it to perfection. Clemson blew out Georgia Tech. South Carolina handled Vanderbilt. Georgia, I wouldn't say they struggled with Missouri. They pretty much controlled the game on the road, had a good test. They passed the test at Missouri. Alabama did what they supposed to do. So some of the other matchups we're looking at for last week.
I believe that was it. I believe that was it from last week that we were looking at.
I was talking about the big game. Stanford game. Stanford
Cardinals.
Yeah,
Stanford and Oregon.
Yes.
Stanford ended up winning that game.
That
was a good game. Overtime, good thriller.
Definitely.
It doesn't get any easier this week for either one of those teams, by the way.
No, it's you're in the middle of the season now. Every week is going to be some tough matchups.
Definitely. You got Stanford at Notre Dame and Oregon at Cal.
All right.
Good matchups in the Pac-12 this week.
What are some of the games you like to talk about this week? Some of the big matchups.
I want to start with Stanford at Notre Dame. Number 7 at number 8, a top 10 matchup. And a lot of people are thinking that if Notre Dame can get past this game with a win, they may run the table and find themselves in the college football playoff for the first time.
Notre Dame, from my understanding, has made a change at quarterback, and they think it's going to get their offense a boost. They are at home, and if the quarterback, this guy falters, they can always go back to the other one.
So you taking Notre Dame at home?
I take Notre Dame at home.
I take Stanford. I think they're going to ride the momentum, come off the big win at Oregon. And one thing about college football, the run game travels.
It should be an old-fashioned slobber knocker. I think a turnover here and there, special teams could decide the game. It'll be that close, I think.
Definitely.
Number 4, Ohio State at Penn State. Ohio State is a 3.5-point favorite at Penn State. This is probably their toughest test of the season. They haven't been challenged yet.
Right.
How would they go into Happy Valley? I think it's a night game. Yes. It's a night game. Both teams are averaging 50 points a game, but they haven't been played anyone yet of any caliber. This is the showdown.
I think the quarterback that has the best game, that team will win the game. Both teams are pretty much driven by their quarterback play. Both have good quarterbacks. But whichever quarterback can control the ball and make the least amount of mistakes, I feel like that team will win.
I think it's a team that can run the ball the best, control the clock, run the ball, and that way it sets up the quarterback to be successful.
Okay, so with that logic, a lot of people are comparing, or a lot of experts are saying that Ohio State's running back group is pretty much how Georgia's was last year, 3-4 deep that can really play. I haven't seen them personally. I've seen highlights. I haven't watched the whole game, but if they really have that type of depth and versatility, they may win the game on that.
If the offensive line can control it, you can have all the backs in the world, but it all comes down to the big guys up front.
And they got a big offensive
And
line.
they do. And if they can control it, hey, we'll see. Virginia Tech at Duke.
Virginia Tech has to win this game. This is a must win for them, especially coming off the loss at Old Dominion. And Duke is now ranked for the first time in a few years here, which is surprising. But Duke is playing real good. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, who would think that Duke would be ranked and Virginia Tech not ranked? And although they are, Virginia Tech still a 3.5 point favorite at Duke. And I think Virginia Tech will win.
I think it's going to be a good one either way.
Florida at Mississippi State. The Gators bounced back last week.
This is a must win for Mississippi State. And the reason I say that is because they just lost to Kentucky, and Kentucky pretty much dominated the game. If you let Dan Mullen come back into Mississippi State, his first trip back, and win, it's going to be bad. It's going to look real bad on the new head coaching staff.
Both teams have lost to Kentucky. Neither one can stand for another loss in the conference this early in the season. This is the Dan Mullen Bowl. He's built Mississippi State program up, now trying to do the same thing at Florida.
Right.
I think the Bulldogs at home get the edge.
Definitely.
Ole Miss at LSU.
This can be interesting, but I don't think it would be. It can be interesting because Ole Miss has great receivers. They have a quarterback that can get them the ball, but they don't have a running game. The offensive line isn't the best, and their defense is suspect. So playing a team like LSU that has a great secondary, a good defensive line that can rush the passer and stop your run game, and that can run the ball, I'm taking LSU to win.
LSU will be. They are playing probably the best, most consistent ball outside of Alabama and Georgia in the SEC. Their defense is probably maybe playing just as good as both of them. And they at home, there's no way I think Ole Miss will pull that off. Let's see who's another good one here. Well, Tennessee at Georgia. Georgia opened as a 32-point favorite over the Vols, something you never heard of. Never heard of a program like Tennessee being that big of an underdog in Athens.
That's the biggest point spread in the SEC game since the '92, since they split into two different divisions. That's crazy. I think Georgia will win. I think they will dominate. But 32 points, that's a lot of points. They can do it. Will they do it is a different story, though.
I don't see that 32 points. No, I can see Georgia winning and could win going away and control the game. But this is a rivalry game. A lot of the Tennessee players are from the state of Georgia. Look for them to get up and play high, sky high. But Georgia will win. Too much firepower.
What do you think about the West Virginia at Texas Tech?
I like West Virginia to beat Texas Tech.
On the road?
On the road.
In a shootout?
I like for them to win. I like the West Virginia quarterback, Will Grier. I think he may be the best in the nation, and we're going to find out. I don't know what the defense is going to do with Texas Tech, but I look for Will Grier to keep them in the game.
Let's be honest. Neither one of these teams are bringing a defense with them. This is going to be all offense everywhere. Texas Tech quarterback has thrown for 600 yards in one game already. This is his first year as a starter. I mean, I'm just saying, it doesn't matter who's at quarterback with Cliff Kingsbury. They're going to be aggressive passing the ball. They're going to be successful passing the ball. It's going to be a shootout. So I feel like it's going to be one of those games of who has the ball last, and that's who's going to win the game. Because both teams' defense is optional. I mean, this is the Big 12 we're talking about.
Most definitely. Southern Mississippi, Auburn, that's not much of a game.
I got one.
What you got?
Oregon at Cal. Oregon coming out the overtime loss to Stanford. Now they at Cal. Cal ranked number 24 now.
Number 19, Oregon at Cal. That's a big game on the West Coast. It could have a lot to say about who wins the Pac-12.
Definitely.
That's going to be a hard one to pick. 3-point favorite. Oregon is 3-point favorite. I take Cal at being the home team.
I got to take Oregon because it's a must-win, especially coming off the overtime loss to Stanford last week. They're in a situation where they have to have this win, and they must prove that they are worth the high ranking that they had. So I think it's going to start this week. I think they'll get the win against Cal.
And it's going to be hard for them to get up back-to-back.
Not when you lose.
It don't matter. Win or lose, it's hard to get that same emotion.
Okay.
You're not the same every week. I mean, you just not, it's not a switch you flip and be the same every week.
Okay,
And
so in that same vein, then you have BYU, that upset Wisconsin, now ranked number 20 on the road at number 11 Washington. What do you think about that game?
I like Washington.
I don't think it's even gonna be close. I think
like
Washington is
Washington.
really that much better, and I think that Wisconsin may have just been overrated.
It could be a combination of both. In football, always a game of matchups, and like I say, on any given Saturday, if you got the players, the scheme, and the coaches that's willing to take some chances, you can upset some people.
That's true.
And you take care of the football.
One other story. Oh, my bad, go ahead.
Go ahead.
One other storyline I want to talk about: the Syracuse at Clemson, which as a game isn't that interesting until you factor in the fact that Kelly Bryant has transferred. He started all 4 games this year, 16-2 overall as a starter. That could present a problem for the Clemson offense.
This Kelly Bryant story has taken the college football world by storm. You see in the new redshirt rule come into play immediately. We don't know what's going to be the long-term ramifications behind this rule, but you see it already taking effect. And Kelly Bryant is 16-2, I believe, as a starter.
16-2.
And he's been benched in favor of Trevor Lawrence, the true freshman, the #1 recruit in the nation. And he's looked good in his games he played, but also as the first game, Texas A&M.
Texas A&M, the only game that they were challenged.
Without Kelly Bryant on the roster, Clemson probably loses that game.
Definitely.
And if they get into that situation again, is Trevor Lawrence ready to lift the team on his shoulders and take them down the field, when they're trailing? It's fine to go down the field when you're winning.
Right.
That's easy. That's easy to do. Or it's 0-0 and you're at home. But if you're on the road, you're down 7, you're down 10. Can he step in then when things are not going so well? That's going to be the question, and Clemson are going to have to answer. Not only that, what if Trevor Lawrence gets hurt?
You have, I think the backup is a walk-on, or maybe on scholarship.
I think he's a scholarship quarterback,
I don't know
but
much
he
about
just
him.
doesn't have any experience.
Neither one of those has much experience. And that's the one thing you can't replace. So with Kelly Bryant, he set his time behind Deshaun Watson and then started all last season. So he's not some, freshman that just jumped in there. He's had time to sit in the system.
He knows
to
it.
prepare,
He knows
to
it.
wait his turn. And he's been there. He's been in those big games. And he's been in those fights.
And in fairness to Coach Sweeney, he had a tough decision. Trevor Lawrence was outplaying Kelly Bryant. I wouldn't want to have to make that call.
I think it was an easy call, and I feel like he made the wrong one because Trevor Lawrence had one game where he outplayed Kelly Bryant. One.
Well, I mean, all his percentages are better. For the whole season, his percentages are better, all the way across the board.
And no, Kelly Bryant has a better passing percentage. He doesn't have as many touchdown passes, but he has more touchdown runs.
Well, he's a better runner.
Definitely. And he's a winner.
Better runner.
And
He's a proven winner.
And the team believes in him.
That makes a difference. It makes a difference.
So the part that a lot of people aren't talking about this, what if Trevor Lawrence struggles? You know what I mean? And then Kelly Bryant, you bench Kelly Bryant, he's transferred, and now you have this rookie in there that struggles. A lot of those people on that team are upperclassmen.
That's gonna be a question.
He could lose the locker room.
Yeah, well, you can, but as long as you winning cures everything.
Winning does.
As long as you're winning, it's gonna be no problem. But if you ever lose, or struggle, then you're gonna have problems.
Especially if Trevor Lawrence has a bad game.
And that situation is different. But here you go. Even at Georgia, you got 2 quarterbacks, but that situation is a little different. But the most similar to this is at Alabama,
Right.
where the Crimson Tide has started Tua Tagovailoa.
Tua Tagovailoa.
And it's proven to be the right move, as I said in the first week 1 that he would start when Nick Saban was trying to core with the media, didn't want to give out his truth. He already knew he was going to start him.
He playing politics.
And Jalen Hurts, he's going to have to make a decision here soon, and the coaching staff going to have to make a decision this week. Are they going to play him so he can redshirt a year, or he's in a different situation because he can graduate in January, and by that, he can use the graduate transfer rule and still play immediately somewhere else if that's his choice. So we'll find out a lot more about the Alabama situation Saturday. If Jalen Hurts gets in the game, we know he's probably not transferring.
He's not transferring in the middle of the season. He still could transfer at the end of the season.
Of course, that's what I mean. He's not transferring now if he plays Saturday.
Right. So if you were Jalen Hurts, or not to say if you were Jalen Hurts, if you were somebody giving advice, what would your advice to him be?
I can only tell him he has to follow his own heart because he's the one that has to go out there and do those weights, lift those weights with his teammates. And people don't know how important team is to someone who's never played sports. These are your teammates. It's hard to leave teammates just to go somewhere else, and you still not guaranteed to start there. You gotta earn that spot everywhere you go. And at the same time, if you're trying to go to the next level and you got aspirations of playing in the NFL, you got to do what's best for you so the scouts can get a look at you on tape. So I wouldn't want to be in that situation. Only Jalen Hurts can make that decision with his family.
I agree with you on that. It's tough because like you said, when you're part of the team, it's hard to just lead those people that you made those bonds with. But at the same time, at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for you.
You do have to do what's best for you, and you only have a small window of opportunity, and time waits for no man.
Definitely.
And with that, we'll wrap this up, and we'll catch y'all next week on the 4th and Inches Sports Broadcast Show. Go Dogs!
I don't talk to them. I don't talk to them boys that sat on the benches for. I was in the game on 4 3 inches. Coach put me in the game on 4